Alrighty. You can go ahead and find a comfortable seated position. You can sit tall. You can breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So you take a few moments to allow yourself to arrive on your mat tonight. So you take a few more rounds of breath here. So you focus your attention inward. You notice how it feels to be inside of your own body right now, without judgment. And for the next hour, I invite you to be an observer inside your own body. Notice how it feels. And for the next hour, you have nowhere else to be and nothing else to do except be here now. Go on, I would just like to say that yoga is a truly personal, individual practice. So it does not matter what I do on my mat or even what I say, because this is your time for your practice. So please do whatever feels right for you tonight. Please take everything that I say as a suggestion. Alrighty, on your next inhale, you can bring some motion to your breath. So as you inhale, reach your arms out and up overhead, reach up tall. And then exhale, release your palms back down at the pace of your exhale. You can take 2 more of these as you inhale up and exhale, release. Nice fluid movements of your arms without stopping in any one spot if you want. We'll take 1 more of these as you inhale, reach your arms out and up. And this time, exhale, fold forward. Bring your hands down in front of you. You can tuck your chin. You can walk your fingertips out. And then you can release, walk those hands back up. And then from here, switch the leg that you have in front. And then you can bring your hands to your knees. We'll do a few seated cat-cow breaths. So on your next inhale, lean forward, open up your chest. Exhale, round your spine back and tuck your chin. Inhale, lean forward, open up your chest and look up. Exhale, round your spine back and tuck your chin. You can take a few more of these as you inhale forward, exhale back. You warm up your spine with nice fluid movements that start in your low back and then wind their way all the way up through your head. Alrighty, from here you can come to a neutral position. We'll do a few sacrum circles. So from here, inhale, rotate your torso around to the front, then exhale, round back to make a circle. So you inhale, round forward, exhale, round back to complete the circle. You can inhale forward, exhale back. And then you can go both directions. You exhale back, inhale forward. Alrighty. And then you can return to a neutral seated position. We'll take 1 more fold. As you inhale, reach your arms out and up, reach up tall. And then exhale, fold forward. You can walk your fingertips out. You can tuck your chin. And then when you're ready, you can release and walk those hands back up. From here, we'll take it to the tabletop pose so you can find your hands and knees. So your hands will come underneath your wrists, and then your knees underneath your hips, and your hands underneath your shoulders. There we go. From here, spread your fingertips wide. Look down for a neutral neck. We'll do a few more cat-cows. So you can inhale, drop your belly, open up your chest and look up. Exhale, round your spine back, tuck your chin. You can take a few more of these as you inhale, drop your belly, look up, look all the way up, stretch your eyeballs. Exhale, round back, tuck your chin. All right, when you're ready, you can return to your neutral tabletop position. From here, we'll do our tiger pose to warm up the core. So you can start by extending your right foot back. You can push your toes down into the ground behind you. Squeeze your leg muscles here to help strengthen your knee joint. You can stay right here, or you can lift your leg up. So your leg is parallel with the ground, your foot is flexed behind you. You can stay here, or you have the option to extend your left arm out in front of you, your opposite arm. So you stretch in both directions. Find your length through your hand and foot here, as if someone was pulling your hand and foot in opposite directions. Keep looking down. Keep breathing. Pull up out of your right shoulder socket. Shine your chest forward. And then you can release back down to tabletop. Good work. From here, we'll do the other side. So you can start by extending your left foot back. You can keep your toes down against the ground, or you have the option to let your foot fly, your left foot up off the mat. You can stay here, or you have the option to extend your right arm out in front of you, your opposite arm from leg. Find your length. Look down. Find your breath here. Good job. And you're ready. You can release back to tabletop. From here, we'll just take a few side stretches. So take an inhale. Exhale, look over your right shoulder, back at your right hip. We'll stay here for a round of breath. And then inhale back through center. Exhale. Look over your left shoulder, back at your left hip. You can stay here for a moment. You can inhale back through center, then exhale to the side. You can look through your side stretch one more time as you inhale center, exhale side. All right, when you're good here, you can do your downward facing dog. So start by tucking your toes and then begin to unbend your knees as you push your hips up and back. You can always keep a generous bend in your knees, especially for your first downward dog. You can bend one knee and then the other, pedal it out, walk your dog, and then notice your head. Drop your head down through your arms. Look back at your toes. So the top of your head is traveling straight down. So you can stretch your shoulders. You can always bend your knees. Don't worry about straightening your legs. Doesn't matter. Alrighty. Look at the space in between your hands. Bend your knees and walk forward until you are in a forward fold. We'll stay here for our first fold. Your feet can be all the way touching or hip width distance apart or anywhere in between. You can always keep a bend in your knees. You can nod your head, yes and no. Relax your neck. You can clasp opposite elbows for a ragdoll pose. You can sway side to side gently. Inhale center, exhale sides. You can always keep a bend in your knees. As we all experience this release to gravity. Alrighty. On your next inhale, find your halfway lift. You bring your hands to your shins, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. You reach out long through the crown of your head. And if it's hard to straighten your spine, bend your knees. Alrighty. Then you can release back down to fold for a moment. And now, over the course of a few rounds of breath, you can slowly rise all the way up to standing. You can let your head and shoulders be the last thing to come up. From here, you can step your feet hip width distance apart. Lift up all 10 toes and put them back down. Find that even distribution of weight throughout both your feet. Then think about engaging your quads, your inner thighs. Engage your core. Lift up like you're trying to look over the fence and something right over there. And then relax your shoulders down. Find a slight tuck in your chin. And then find a micro bend in your knees. Mountain pose, Tadasana. They say that if you stand in mountain pose for 1 minute a day, you'll be happier. All right, on your next inhale, reach your arms out and up overhead. You can find a gentle back bend if you want. And then exhale, swan dive down to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step it back to a plank pose. We'll hold our plank for a little longer for our first plank. Your hands should be underneath your shoulders, parallel to each other, fingers spread wide. You can always do the modified version of plank by coming to your knees, which I recommend. If you're doing the full version of plank, think about kicking your heels back over your toes and then shine your chest forward. So you're getting long in both directions here. Keep lifting up with a strong core. Keep looking down. Keep breathing. Alrighty, on your next exhale, you do your chaturanga. You exhale, lower all the way down to your tummy. Release your feet. Inhale, chest opener of choice. You can do your baby cobra by lifting your head and shoulders. You can lift your fingers or your heels if you want, as an option. And then plant your hands underneath your armpits. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog as you push your hips up and back. You can pedal out your feet, bend one knee and then the other. Drop your head down through your arms. Find your breath. Alrighty, we'll do a variation on that flow when you're ready. Bend your knees, look at the space between your hands, and hop or step forward to fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up to standing. And exhale, release your arms down to your sides. We'll just do a few shoulder rolls before we move on. You can start by stepping your feet hip width distance apart. Find that micro bend in your knees. And then from here, bring your shoulders up, back and down and around. Up, back and down. Inhale as you bring them up. Exhale, down. You can do a few more of these. Nice scapular rotation. And then you can go both directions. Go up, forward and down. Up, forward and down. Keep that nice bend in your knees. Keep that blood flowing up and down. Alrighty, then you can shake it out. And then we'll do our neck roll. So bring your chin down toward your chest. Take a breath. Exhale, roll your head to the side, your ear down toward your shoulder. Then inhale back down through center. Exhale to the other side. You can move through a few more of these at your own pace or whatever feels good for your head and neck. You have the option to stay on one side for a little longer. You can bring your hand to the side of your head to help create space in between your ear and shoulder. Alrighty, one last moment here. And then you can come back to your standing position. You can go through your flow. You can meet us in down dog if you want. When you're ready, inhale your arms out and up. Gentle back bend if you want. And then exhale, swan dive down to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step it back. And on your next exhale, you can lower down through your chaturanga. You can inhale, chest opener of choice, cobra or upward facing dog. And then plant your hands, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Walk it out. Find your breath. All right. Look at the space in between your hands, bend your knees, and hop or step forward to fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up to standing. This time we're going to do chair pose. So as you exhale, circle sweep your arms down and then back up. As you sit your hips down into chair pose, like you're sitting down into a chair. Your weight should be in your heels, maybe even be able to wiggle your toes a little bit. You can do whatever you like to do with your arms. You can bring them to your sides if that's better. We'll just build some heat for a moment. Find your breath. Now before we release, you have the option to practice lifting up your right foot as you hover your foot above the ground. Keep breathing. All right, place it back down. Now you have the option to practice lifting up your left foot for a moment, hover it over the ground. Keep breathing. All right, you can put it back down. One last good moment here in your chair. And then you can release back up to standing. You can shake it out. And we'll go through our flow. You can meet us in down dog if you prefer. When you're ready, inhale your arms out and up. Slight back bend if you want. And then exhale, swan dive down to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step it back to plank. And on your next exhale, you can lower down. Inhale, chest opener of choice. And exhale, downward facing dog. Walk it out. All right. From here, you can look at the space in between your hands, bend your knees, and hop or step forward to fold. You can inhale, reach your arms out and up, reverse swan dive up to standing. And then you can release your arms down to your sides. From here, we'll do our warrior one position. So you can start by stepping your right foot back for a lunge position. Then you can bend into your left knee as much as feels good. For warrior one, you can bring your right heel down to the mat behind you with your toes coming out about 45-degree angle to the right, or you can let your heel come up off the mat, either way. And then bend into that front knee. Think about squaring your hips as if you had headlights on each of your hip bones. You want them to both square forward. So you can stretch that right hip back. You can hold your arms up overhead, or you can bring your hands down to your sides. So you think about engaging your core, like you're trying to look up over the fence at something over there. Strong core up. And then find your breath. Find your gazing point, your drishti. Maybe something on the floor or the wall that's not moving that you can gaze upon. If you want more of a challenge, you can lift your left heel in front of you, but only if you want to. From here, you can release your arms down to your sides and straighten that left leg in front of you. We'll do our pyramid pose. So from here, inhale your arms up tall, take an inhale up, and then exhale, fold gently with control. Down at your left foot. You can always keep a bend in your knees. Find your breath here in this deep fold. You can always scooch your back foot up closer as well. You can nod your head, yes and no. You breathe into this fold for one more moment. And when you're ready, you can bend into your left knee, rise back up to your warrior one for a moment. From here, we'll do a side stretch. So slide your right hand down your right leg, then reach that left arm up and overhead. Maybe look up, if that's okay for your neck. You have the option to extend both arms out if you want to use your core a little more, or you can do an arm bind with your arm behind your back, or whatever feels good for you tonight. All right, inhale back up to your warrior one for a moment. One last good moment here on this side. And then you can release your arms down to your sides. You can step your feet together. And then you can go through your flow. You can meet us in down dog or come along with me. You inhale your arms out and up. Exhale, swan dive down to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step it back to plank. On your next exhale, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, chest opener of choice. And then exhale, downward dog. And then you can bend your knees, look at the space between your hands, and hop or step forward to fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up to standing. And you can release your arms down to your sides. Now we'll do our warrior one on the other side. So you can step your left leg back. You can bend into your right knee as much as feels good. Your left heel can come down to the ground as your left toes come out, about 45-degree angle to the left. Or you can always come up off onto your toes. Either way is fine. Then bend into that right knee. You find your gazing point. You can always bring your arms down to your sides if you prefer. You think about squaring your hips forward. Find your breath. You engage your core like you're looking up over the fence at something over there. If you'd like more of a challenge, you can lift your right heel, but only if you want to. Alrighty, one last good moment here on your warrior one on this side. And then you can release your arms, straighten your right leg in front of you. We'll do our pyramid pose on this side. So you can inhale, reach your arms up tall, and then exhale, fold gently over your right foot. You can always keep a bend in your knee. You can always scooch your back foot up closer. You can nod your head, yes and no. So you think about squaring your hips. So right hip back, left hip forward. Keep breathing. Alrighty. And you're ready. You can bend into that knee and rise back up with a strong core. And then you can release your arms down to your sides and step your feet together. You can shake it out if you want to. And then you can go through your flow. You can meet us in down dog. You inhale your arms out and up overhead. Find a slight back bend if you want. And then exhale, swan dive down to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hand, step it back to plank. On your next exhale, you can lower down. Inhale, chest opener of choice. And then exhale, tuck your toes, downward dog. Maybe step your feet in about an inch after all those folds we've been doing. You walk it out, pedal it out. And then you can look at the space in between your hands, bend your knees, and hop or step forward to fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up to standing. And then you can release your arms down to your sides. From here, we will do our wide-legged position. So you can find a wide-legged position for yourself with your toes parallel to each other. And you can find a micro bend in both of your knees. You can pigeon toe your toes in and your heels out just a little bit to protect your knees. And we'll take a fold. So you inhale your arms out and up, tall spine reaches up. Exhale, fold gently with a nice bend in your knees. You can nod your head, yes and no. You can always bend your knees. Alrighty. Bend your knees, place your hands on your hips, and with a straight back, rise up. We'll do a brief warrior two sequence while we're here. So you can pivot your right toes out 90 degrees, bend into your right knee, and then extend your arms wide as you look over your right fingers. So you settle in here to your warrior two. So you think about engaging your core like you're trying to look up over the fence over there, strong core up. Sometimes in warrior two, we get tired and we lean forward and we squish this front hip. Instead, see if you can engage your core. So from the hips up, you're standing straight up tall. Then find your breath. You can bend your right elbow, place it on your right thigh, and reach that left arm up and overhead. Maybe look up. Keep breathing. If you want to use more core, you can extend both arms out. You can do an arm bind. You can reach for the full expression of extended side angle. Few more moments. Find your pose here. Deep breathing. All right. Then you can inhale back up to your warrior two. You can release your arms to your sides. And then you can pivot your toes back in. From here, we're gonna go straight into warrior two on the other side. Pivot your left toes out. Bend your left knee this time. And then extend your arms wide as you look over your left fingers. You can also flip your palms up for a more shoulder-friendly version, if that's better for you. Find your breath, engage your core. Now we'll do our side stretch as you bend your left elbow, place it on your left thigh, reach your right arm up and overhead. Maybe look up. You can do any variation that sounds good to you from here. Find your breath for a few more moments. Alrighty, then you can inhale, rise back up through center. One last good moment here in your warrior two. Alrighty, and you can release your arms back in. You can pivot your toes back so they're parallel. We'll take one more fold. You have the option to include a shoulder stretch if you want to this time by clasping opposite elbows, or you can hold your hands together, or you can do reverse prayer or normal arms. You inhale, think about reaching up tall through your spine, and then exhale, fold gently. Nod your head, yes and no. Keep a nice bend in your knees. Deep breathing. Nod your head, yes and no. All right. And you can gently rise back up with control. You can release your arms to your sides. We'll do one last pose while we're standing up for the standing up portion of class. We'll do our goddess pose. So you can find a squat position for yourself. Make sure your toes are facing out the same direction as your knees. So do a test with your knees, bend your knees, make sure they feel okay here. Okay, now take an inhale, reach up. And then exhale, so you squat down, bend both of your knees into goddess pose. You can bring your hands up to the sides if you want to. So you think about tucking your tailbone. So you lengthen your spine down. So this is not a gym squat. This is more like a chair pose where you engage your core, knit your ribs together, or whatever sounds good for you. Alrighty, then you can release back up to standing. We'll do this pose one more time if you want to. When you're ready, get ready. And then inhale your arms up. Exhale down to your goddess pose. Maybe a little deeper this time. Find your gazing point. From here, you have the option to practice lifting up your right heel. All right, you can put it back down. From here, you can practice lifting up your left heel. All righty, you can put it back down. From here, if you want, you can practice lifting up both heels for a moment. Keep breathing. And then when you're ready, You can come back to standing. You can bring your feet together. And you can come to the top of your mat. Good work. You have the option to find a quick quad stretch while you're here. So you hold on to the inside of your foot with your hand. You pull down through your knee, down toward the ground. You lift your foot up. All right. And you can switch. So you stretch your other side. You can always hold on to something. One good quad stretch. All righty. And when you're ready, you can release. And you can meet me in down dog. And you go through your flow. Inhale your arms out and up overhead. Exhale, swan dive down to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hand, step it back to plank. And on your next exhale, lower down. Inhale, chest opener of choice. And exhale, downward dog. From here, we will do our pigeon pose. So you can start by letting your right leg fly. So you extend your right leg long behind you. Then curl your knee into your chest and plant your knee down in between your hands. Then your foot will find a spot underneath your left hip. The closer in your foot, the more beginner friendly, and the further away your foot, the more of a deep stretch it is. Alrighty, you can find a good spot for yourself. You're welcome to stay right here, or you can gently lower your head and chest down over your knee. You can make a little pillow with your hands. And we're gonna stay here for about 8 rounds of breath for our deep hip opener of the night. And if this is too much pressure for your knee, you can also do this pose while lying on your back. Alrighty, so use your breath to settle into your pigeon pose. So you imagine yourself like a sack of potatoes. Like the only thing that's holding you up right now is the ground. As you release yourself down with gravity, as much as feels good for you. You tune your attention inward. Find your breath. Alrighty. When you're ready, you can come back up to your hands. You can frame your knee with your hands. You can walk your hands back so they're underneath your shoulders for a moment. Maybe find your height. Maybe find balance. So you scissor your inner thighs, push that right foot down underneath you. And then you can frame your knee with your hands, tuck your toes behind you, and return to your downward facing dog. You can walk it out, and then you can lift your right leg back up again for a counter stretch. You can lift your right leg up and down a few times, and then shake it out and walk it out. And then we'll do that on the other side. So You can let your left leg fly this time. Curl your knee into your chest and plant your left knee in between your hands. And your left foot can find a spot underneath your right hip or wherever feels good. You can stay right here, or you can gently lower your head and chest down over your knee. We'll stay here for about 8 rounds of breath. And if this is too much pressure for your knee, you can also do this pose while lying on your back. You tune your attention inward, find your breath here. Of all the poses that we do tonight, this is the one to find your breath. Alrighty. You can begin to release. You can walk your hands back up to frame your knee. You can practice finding your height or your balance for a moment if you want to. And then when you're ready, you can frame your knee with your hands, tuck your toes behind you, and return to your downward dog. You can walk it out. You can do your counter stretch by lifting your left leg back up again a couple times. Then you can always shake it out. As you enjoy the last moments of downward dog for tonight's practice, when you're ready, you can drop your knees down and find your child's pose. So your knees can come as wide as the mat or all the way together, either way is fine. And then bring your hips down to your heels and then your forehead down. When you're ready, you can begin to release all the way back up. And from here, we're going to do a little bit more core work tonight. So you can find your tabletop position, your hands and knees. And then from here, you can come all the way down to your tummy. So you release down to your tummy. From here, you can practice looking down and then extend your right arm in front of you. From here, you can practice lifting your left leg up off the ground, your opposite leg. So your right arm and your left foot are up off the mat. Look down for a neutral neck. Keep breathing. Alrighty. Then you can release back down. And we'll practice the other side. So from here, you can extend your left arm out. You can extend your left arm up off the mat as you bring your right leg up and off the ground. You squeeze your glutes, squeeze your back, squeeze your quads, squeeze your shoulders. Keep looking down. Alrighty. And you can release. You can bring your cheek down to the mat, but we're not quite done yet. From here, you have the option to practice lifting up all four, both arms and both legs. if you want to, you look down, and then on your next inhale, peel your hands and your feet up off the mat. Find your length. As if someone was pulling your hands and feet in opposite directions. Your knees travel in. Keep breathing. Alrighty, woo! And then you can release back down. You can bring your cheek down. Good work. We'll do one last pose. You're welcome to stay right here if you're good, but if you want, you have the option to reach for a bow pose, the final expression of this sequence, by bending your knees, bringing your feet up. You can stay right here if this is good, or you can reach for the insides of your foot. You can stay right here, or next, on your next inhale, kick your feet up into your hands, lift your knees up off the mat, lift your head and chest, keep looking down, keep breathing. Good job. When you're ready, you can release all the way down. You can bring your cheek down to the mat, find your breath. Okay. From here, you can bring your hands underneath your shoulders, gently rise back up to your tabletop position. And now we'll take it back to one more child's pose from here. So you can bring your knees wide, you can bring your hips down to your heels, and then your forehead down. When you're ready, you can begin to release. You can walk your hands back up, and then you can come all the way to your sits bones to a seated position. You can extend both of your legs long in front of you. You can wobble out your knees. You can rock side to side. And from here, you can flex both of your feet. Sit tall. Then on your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Reach up tall with an inhale. And then exhale, fold gently. Stretch the back side of your body. You can always keep a bend in your knees. You can tuck your chin. You can take a nice round of breath. You can flex your feet to stretch your calves, or you can point your toes to stretch your shins and your ankles and the top of your foot. And then you can rise back up. And from here, we'll do our twists. So you can bend your right knee, plant your right foot. So you sit tall. Take an inhale up. Then exhale, twist to the right. So you look over your right shoulder. So you sit tall. Then exhale, twist as you look over your right shoulder. You can always plant your right hand behind you for support. Alrighty, then you can come back through center. You can take a quick counter stretch to the other side. And then you can come back to center and we'll switch sides. So this time, bend your left knee, plant your left foot. Take an inhale, sit tall. Exhale, twist to the left. You can plant your left hand behind you and look over your left shoulder. You keep breathing, keep your core strong. All right, then you can release. You can do a quick counter stretch to the other side. And then you can bend both of your knees, plant both of your feet. We'll do a little bit of core. We'll do boat pose. So you can find a nice V shape with your nice straight spine. And then from here, lean back just a little bit until you feel your core fire up and engage. And you can stay right here, or you can lift your feet up so your shins are parallel to the ground. You can stay right here, or you can release your hands. Find a good spot for yourself to stay. Keep that straight spine, reaching up. Keep breathing. All right, good work. And when you're ready, you can bring your feet back down. And from here, you can roll down to your back. We'll do a few windshield wiper knees. So from here, you can bring both of your knees down to the side. Then inhale your knees back up through center. Exhale down to the other side. You inhale up through center, and then exhale your knees down to the side. You can take this at your own pace of breath, side to side. From here, we'll do our candlestick pose, or inversion. So you can stick your legs straight up, 90 degrees. You can bring your hands behind your knees for support. You can point and flex your feet. You can do some ankle circles. You can do wide legs. You could do plow or shoulder stand if that's in your practice. As you let your feet come above your heart, let some of that blood come down to your core for one more moment. And then when you're ready, you can release as you hug your knees to your chest, as you flatten your spine down against the mat. You can bring your hands to your knees, and then you can move your knees back and forth like you're crawling. Or you can move your knees in little opposite circles from each other, which helps release the lower back. Alrighty. From here, we'll do our figure 4. So you can bring your right ankle to your left thigh. So you make like a figure 4. And then you can hold on to the back of your left thigh as you gently pull your left knee down toward your chest. You find your breath here. If you'd like to make it a more active pose, you can straighten your left leg. You can reach up through your head and chest. One last good moment here, your figure 4 on this side. Pull that knee in. Alrighty, and you can release. And we'll switch it up. So you bring that left ankle to your right thigh. Make that figure 4. And then reach your hands through to the back of your right thigh as you pull your right knee down toward your right armpit. Keep breathing. You can do any variation that you like if you want to make it more active. Alrighty, and from here, you can release. We'll do from one last pose while we're here. So you can bring your knees together and your feet wide. So walk your feet as wide as feels good while keeping your knees touching together for a daydreamer pose. And then from here, you can give yourself a hug as you reach for your opposite shoulders. Take a nice round of breath. Then from here, you can release your arms and give yourself a hug one more time, this time with the other arm on top as you reach for your opposite elbows or opposite shoulders. Take a nice round of breath. From here, you can release your arms, and then you can find your final relaxation. You can extend both of your legs down, long and wide. And then you can extend your arms down to your sides. You can put one hand on your chest and one hand on your tummy for a moment. You feel your heart beating with each rise and fall of your breath. You breathe in for a count of 3 or 4. Exhale for 3 or 4. You can find a comfortable position for your arms. You can relax. We'll take about a 2-minute Shavasana. You allow yourself to absorb all the benefits from tonight's practice for yourself. All the benefits for you physically, mentally, emotionally. Just take it all in. Maybe think about somebody who you're grateful for. I'll share one of my favorite quotes with you guys. Of course, we can always imagine more perfect conditions, the way the world should be, and the way that everyone else should behave. But it is not our task to create an ideal. It is our task to see the world as it is and to learn from the world as it is. For the awakening of the heart, conditions are always good enough. Alrighty. You can wiggle your toes or your fingers. You can stretch your arms. You can roll to your side for the fetal position. And then you can make your way all the way back to a comfortable seated position for a moment. You can sit tall, but remain relaxed as you find a nice tuck in your chin. You can bring your hands to heart center if you want. And take one last deep round of breath and notice how you feel right now. My soul honors each of your souls. Namaste. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight. I'll take everybody off mute now. I will stop recording.
Thanks, Sona.